की, जय ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की, जय मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की, जय पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, जय गंगा मैया की, जय जमुना मैया की, जय भक्ति देवी की, जय श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की, जय कलयुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की, श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन मैराथन की, जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Smaller.
Thank you. माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवर धारी, गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन, जमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर सत हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनन्य कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from the third canto, chapter 2, verse number 5. Pulokodbhinna sarvango munchanmiladrisha shuchaha Purnartho lakshitastena Sneha prasara samplutaha Pulakodbhinna sarvango Munchanmiladrisha shuchaha Purnartho lakshitastena Sneha prasara samplutaha Pulakodbhinna sarvango Munchanmiladrisha shuchaha Purnartho lakshitastena Sneha prasara samplutaha. Pulakodbhinna sarvango Munchanmiladrisha shuchaha Purnartho lakshitastena Prasara samplutaha. Pulakodbhinna sarvango Munchanmiladrisha shuchaha Purnartho lakshitastena Sneha prasara samplutaha. Pulakodbhinna sarvango मुञ्चन्मीलदृशा शुचः पूर्णार्थो लक्षितस्तेन स्नेहप्रसरसम्प्लुतः. Vaishnavis, we do word by word. Pulaka udbhinna, bodily changes of transcendental ecstasy. Sarvangaha, every part of the body. Munchan, smearing. Milat, opening. Drisha, by the eyes. Shuchaha, tears of grief. Purna arthaha, complete achievement. Lakshitaha, thus observed. Tena, by Vidura. Sneha prasara, extensive love. Samplutaha, thoroughly assimilated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It was so observed by Vidura that Uddhava had all the transcendental bodily changes due to total ecstasy, and he was trying to wipe away tears of separation from his eyes. Thus, Vidura could understand that Uddhava had completely assimilated extensive love for the Lord. Purport. The symptoms of the highest order of devotional life were observed by Vidura, an experienced devotee of the Lord, and he confirmed Uddhava's perfectional stage of love of Godhead. Ecstatic bodily changes are manifested from the spiritual plane and are not artificial expressions developed by practice. There are 3 different stages of development in devotional service. The first stage is that of following the regulative principles prescribed in the codes of devotional service. The second stage is that of assimilation and realization of the steady condition of devotional service. And the last stage is that of ecstasy symptomized by transcendental bodily expression. The 9 different modes of devotional service, such as hearing, chanting, and remembering, are the beginning of the process. By regular hearing of the glories and pastimes of the Lord, the impurities in the student's heart begin to be washed off. The more one is cleansed of impurities, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. Gradually, the activities take the forms of steadiness, firm faith, taste, realization, assimilation, one after another. These different stages of gradual development increase love of God to the highest stage. And in the highest stage, there are still more symptoms, such as affection, anger, and attachment, gradually rising in exceptional cases to the Mahabhav stage, which is generally not possible for the living entities. All these were manifested by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the personification of love of God. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, by Srila Rupa Goswami, the chief disciple of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these transcendental symptoms displayed by pure devotees like Uddhava are systematically described. We have written a summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu entitled The Nectar of Devotion, and one may consult this book for more detailed information on the science of devotional service. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे राम 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 हरे अनर्पितचरीं चिरात् करुणयावतीर्ण कलौ समर्पयितुमुन्नतोज्ज्वलरसां स्वभक्तिश्रियं हरिः पुरटसुन्दरद्युतिकदम्बसन्दीपितः सदा हृदयकन्दरे स्फुरतु वः शचीनन्दनः हन्ताय मद्रिरबला हरिदासवर्यो यद्रामकृष्णचरणस्पर्शप्रमोदः मानं तनोति सह गोगणयोस्तयोर्यत् पानीयसूयवसकन्दरकन्दमूलैः मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम् Hare Krishna. I'm extremely grateful to be given this opportunity to serve you all in this way. We seek blessings of all the acharyas, the great teachers of our lineage, all the assembled devotees here, all those assembled in the unembodied space of the virtual space, so that we can please our acharyas through our discussion. We inspire the devotees and I effect the purification of my heart. Hare Krishna. Some Prabhupada Vaishnava rightly said that Bhakti Vedanta translations and purports are both translations and purports. Bhakti Vedanta translations and purports are both translations and purports. Because in both translation and purport, not only Prabhupada gives Shabdartha, which is word meaning, or Bhavartha, which is the intended meaning, by taking the commentaries of the different acharyas, but he also gives something more which we call ecstasy. And he gives us a vision which is not there in the words. And this verse is a testimony to that. Pulakod bhinna sarvango. Sarvangaha, all the body parts, udbhinna, developed. It burst out. What? Pulaka, romanch, horripilation, right? And then it says, Munchan Mila Drisha Shuchaha. Shuchaha is the tears, Mila Drisha from the eyes, little half closed eyes. Milat, Munchan, they were being released. Nowhere wiping is there. But Prabhupada writes in the translation, he was wiping his tears of ecstasy. This is an additional vision which we get through Prabhupada, which Krishna inspired. And this shows us the struggle of Uddhava. He's crying, but he's wiping the tears. Here is Vidura, who is equally drunkard in Krishna's ecstasy of remembering Krishna. And Uddhava wants to speak, but he's crying, yet he's wiping. So Prabhupada gives us a vision. And this is the culture of the way in which our acharyas reveal us the spiritual windows. Their words are just not place fillers. Sometimes words are place fillers, but every word here is very special. And it has the potency of affecting the heart. There is a small couplet in Braj Bhasha which indicates this. Satsaya ke dohe jo navak ke tir. There was a poet called Bihari Das. He wrote 700 couplets, which is called Satsaya. Saya means 100, Sat means 700 poems. Jo navak ke tir. Navak means are those persons who use hunting. It's a very traditional word. They are like the arrows or the tip of the arrows of that navak. Why do you say that? Dekhan mein chote lage, ghav kare gambhir. They seem to be very little, but they enter the heart. So Srila Prabhupada is telling about wiping the tears, and Shukdev Goswami, who is describing this verse to Parikshit Maharaj, is also just not using the words out of the blue. Like we say, right, in the modern SBNR culture, spiritually but not religious, that everything is light, everything is love. What does that love and light mean? Only the one who is in love and light may know it. But here, each and every word has a deep science behind it, and Prabhupada is mentioning that in the last paragraph. We have written a summary study called The Nectar of Devotion. And he says we must go to students. One may consult this book for more detailed information. And begging for mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we can surmise or deduce why he's saying that, because the words used here have a deeper meaning. Sneha prasara samplutaha. Samplutaha means submerged. Prasara means flood. Flood of what? Sneha. Sneha means, it's a common name also, but sneha here doesn't only mean affection. It means a heightened state in the development of one's love. Srila Prabhupada mentions that in the Purport. Even after prema, the train goes further. The ordinary living entity may not be able to experience that because the body is not capable to do it, but it is there. Even the word prema has a deep significance behind it. Every morning we sing, isn't it? Every conscientious Vaishnava, careful Vaishnava, or every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against all these offenses to quickly achieve the desired goal of life, decibels up, Krishna prema. What is this prema? Samyak masranita swantaha. When the heart becomes masranita, which means in Hindi it is called chikna, soft like a butter, because only then Makhanchor, Krishna, will come and reside there and feed there, whatever. Mamatva atishayankitaha. It is marked with atishay, great, what? Mamatva. Mamatva, we have also mamatva to many, many things, but here mamatva is for Krishna. Bhava sa eva sandratma budaihi prema nigadyate. This wise people call prema when their bhav becomes extremely thick. Few verses later in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Rupa Goswami says, Bhishma Dev and other Pramukh devotees say that prema has two characteristics. It is mamata towards Krishna and no anya mamata. That's very important. Mamata towards Krishna and no anya mamata. Dusra na koi, nothing, nobody else. If this was not enough, as if this was not enough, Rupa Goswami thinks that maybe we should give some common example. Of course, his Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also expert in giving common examples about our day-to-day dealings, because common men can be yanked out from their common relations by giving a common answer, a thorn with a thorn. So when Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, they are in Bengal, they really want association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are writing letters after letters to Rupa Goswami, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he doesn't respond. But then he responds by one verse. What's that? Para vyasanini nari vyagrapi graha karmasu. It's like quite jarring, quite shaking example. Like somebody who has a paramour outside the house. They will do the housework very nicely. Lekin, eva aswadayati antaha navar sanga rasayanam. But inside, it's all the chewing happening of what lays outside the house. Now you will say, Mahaprabhu, you are Yatinam Shiromani, you are Nyasinam Shiromani, you are Sannyasinam Shiromani. This example. But wait a minute, this is not only enough. I mean, there is something more history behind it. Where does this verse come from? This verse comes from the 101 of impersonalist literature. Like we have the entry of Bhakti Shastri. What is the literature we study first? NOI or Ishopanishad? They study Panchadashi. They had 15 chapters, so Panchadashi. Who wrote this literature? A pontiff of Shankaracharya Mutt called Vidyaranya Swami. Sounding familiar, right? Who was Vidyaranya Swami? It is said he lived for 500 years. And he was the one to whom two converted Muslims called Hukkarai and Bukkarai, wonderful names, came. He inspired them to establish the golden kingdom, Sanatan kingdom, in the middle of India called the Vijayanagar kingdom, which survived for only 265 years, perhaps. But at the peak of that kingdom, in the reign of Krishna Deva Rai, we had Mahaprabhu staying in Jagannath Puri. Here is Krishna Deva Rai, a Hindu king who worships Tirupati, and his guru is Vyasatirtha, and his arch enemy is Prataprudra Rai, Prataprudra. His guru is Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and his deity is Lord Jagannath. And in the middle, who is staying? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he is quoting the verse of them, impersonal verse, to inspire Rupa Goswami. Yukta Vairagya at its best. Now, Rupa Goswami is also a student of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he also should use some example from common life to indicate what is prema. And he does that in the sequel book to Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which is Ujjvala Neelamani. He says, between a boy and a girl, Satyapi Dhvamsa Karane Sarvata Dhvamsa Rahitam. If there are all reasons to break the relationship, still it does not break, that is prema. This is what Rupa Goswami indicates. So Sneha is, take that prema who has been indicated by all these acharyas as an extremely softer situation of the heart, and you further churn it so that na triptir tad darshanadishu. Even looking at the deities, one is not satisfied. Looking at something connected with Krishna, one is not satisfied. And it becomes even, you can say, sweeter, as is a chikna, very soft. That is sneha. Already in this verse, one term, sneha prasara samplutaha, has such a deep meaning. There is another word in this which is pulakod bhinna sarvango, the horripilations, romanch, right? We often get that, sometimes we get it. Some devotees were mentioning, Prabhu, when I eat Shrikhand, I get some tingling. Is that romanch? Well, maybe a little bit. Sometimes in a powerful kirtan, we get some horripilation, maybe a little feeling, a precursor, a prequel to horripilation. But this is very specific. And the technical word is Ashta Sattvic Vikar. Vikar means changes, transformations. What is Sattvic? Not the Sattvic of the Sattvic cuisine or the Sattvic movement, but this Sattvic is something different. Sattvic is something which originates from Sattva. What is Sattva? When the heart is Krishna Sambandhanadhibhihi, using somehow or the other, vyavadhanataha, or directly or indirectly, the heart gets imbued with love for Krishna, that becomes Sattva. Then that heart just submits itself voluntarily to the prana of our body. We know about prana, the airs which are moving in the body. They do all sorts of taking in and evacuation, what sorts of things. But when this heart which is imbued with Krishna Rati gets combined with prana, that prana becomes like a juggernaut. It starts hitting here and there. It hits the skin and romanch. It hits the eyes, tears. And Prabhupada is saying, these are not of practice. You can't practice. Olden times, there was a technique, and now it might have become quite elaborate, that to use mirchi. Mirchi means like chili in the handkerchief, and maybe you rub it. Sure shot, tears will come. Now maybe they use some variety of chloroform. Hope they should not put it on their nose. Then murcha will come. Ashta Sattvic Vikar, they are of 8 types. So when these prana starts hitting here and there, involuntary changes happen. They are, as Rupa Goswami explains, 8 types. Stambha means being like jadata. Sweda, perspiration. Romancha, horripilation. Swara bhedo, stammering of the voice. Then vepatuhu, trembling. Arjuna also says vepatushcha sharire me. Then vaivarnyam, color changes. Interesting, right? You become a global personality. And then ashru, tears, pralay, murcha. Prabhupada says these are not something which developed by practice. And naturally we may ask the question, but sir, this verse is indicating what happened 5,000 years ago. Does it happen after that? Doesn't seem so. No. Prabhupada is saying in the purport, look at the life of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Every other verse is like Ashta Sattvic Vikar. Especially we go to Antya Leela, last chapters is like, they call Sudipta, blazing. Rupa Goswami says that blazing Ashta Sattvic Vikar. Okay, 500 years ago they can happen, right? Not now. What are you talking about? Go to Gorakhpur, the history of Gorakhpur, where Prabhupada was giving a lecture, starts singing Radha Madhav, stops in the middle, Kartal rolls down, and he's just, the ashru is coming. We know of saints in Gujarat who were Ramanuji, attracted to Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And whenever the kirtan would start, they would have like maybe 24-hour kirtan or close to that, so some place in Saurashtra. Whenever the kirtan would stand, they would start jumping and dancing, and this saint would emit ashru like syringes. A team of doctors came and studied him. How can you get so much water in your body? I mean, maybe blood is what, 5 liters? Right? Doctors, maybe 5 liters. But they're like pools and pools of water. But they don't know that this water is not coming from an ordinary tap of human body's water collection. Somebody else has opened the tap. Krishna. Because Krishna has entered the heart has become sattva. Sattva is entering the prana. Prana is doing all sorts of things. If we go to Parikramarg in Vrindavan, we know Imlitala, right? Near Imlitala, there is a very old temple called Ganga Mandir. Another Ramanuji saint used to stay here. In fact, his mother lineage was Gaudiya, and his Diksha line was Ramanuji. Later, he settled in front of Radha Damodar Mandir. But earlier, when he was staying in Ganga Mandir, I heard that once when his disciples went to meet with him, he was upstairs, they had to climb the stairs, they observed a pool. What is this pool of water? Apparently, somebody was crying because somebody had opened this tap of Krishna's prema. So it is possible even now, but not by practice. The question comes, why we should be discussing or hearing it so much? Well, one is the scriptures are full of that, isn't it? Prithu Maharaj's story, it comes, isn't it? Any saint which is being described in Bhagavatam, these things are mentioned. Somebody from outside may do an akshep saying that, what is this? Every third page is like hair standing on the end, crying ecstasies, isn't it? Sometimes in our lectures also we have that. As though this was not enough. Rupa Goswami describes categorically, in categories, then he creates his own verses. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami comes and adds a humorous angle to it, so that if we feel sleepy while reading Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu with all the categories and analysis, maybe when we hear this humorous pastime, we will remember it. And this is the pastime of our favorite associate of Krishna, grandson of Gargi, son of Sandipani Muni, brother of Nandi Mukhi, disciple of Purnamasi, called Manasukha in Nandagram, called Batu in Krishna's pastimes. But for us here, he is there, blue complexion, holding Manohar Laddus, and we call him Madhumangal. So it's the lunch, it's the, that 9:30 brahmachari lunch time in which Radharani has cooked all the different zillions of recipes. And Krishna is sitting, Subal and Sridham are sitting on his left, Balram on the right, Madhumangal in the front, because so that he has access to everything. And he starts saying that people delight in the different rasas of dramaturgy. I just delight in different rasas of the food, form, texture, smell, etc. So Balram gets annoyed because he's the straight guy. He says, okay, give an exposition of your rasa theory. Now here is what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami takes this opportunity to reveal Ashta Sattvic Vikar in a very humorous way. Madhumangal says, see, some people cry tears after they have a taste of a drama. But before even getting the food, I cry. And then as I'm eating, I shout. Now I'm getting horripilation as I'm eating sandesh. And look at my color. It is changing from Krishna Varna to white and pink while eating. If somebody doesn't give me food, I have perspiration, sweda. And after I've eaten belly full, final, pralay, murcha. Acharyas go to such an extent. But why? At least this servant feels to be light years away from that experience. But they are important. The first requirement is that it dawns on us humility. Removes the last vestiges of the so-called pure devotee syndrome. Not the pure devotee syndrome that others are pure devotees, that's great. But pure devotee syndrome. It's there. The person sitting on the corner might think, not might think, will think, corner, this corner, not that, that he is the center of the universe. But when we read these pastimes or these descriptions, by the mercy of Acharyas, that humility will dawn that Delhi is very far. Delhi bahut dur hai. In English, Delhi is very far. Means it is very far. And a beneficial outcome of this would be paras swabhava karmani na prashansayet na garhayet. Prashansayet is still fine, but at least we start thinking that if somebody is doing great activities, Krishna is behind, and if a dosh is there, better not meddle with it. Even in Avadhi, Tulsidas also says, Sapnehu nahi dekhahu nahi dosha, guna dosha, not seeing dosha. But what if we see it? If that humility is dawned, at least it will give rise to renunciation. That I do not want that dosha. If we see dosha, by somehow or the other, or chintan, we do, I do not want that dosha. So this humility is important. Trinadapi shunichena taroriva sahishnuna amanina manadena. All are in Tritiya Vibhakti instrumental case, which means by being humble more than a blade of grass, or by being tolerant than a tree, by giving respect and not expecting respect. What will happen? This is to be watched. Sada Harihi Kirtaniya. For all the time, then Hari is Kirtaniya. Kirtaniya means Hari is fit to be glorified. What does that mean? Which means without humility, maybe something else is happening. When the humility comes, then Hari is really glorified for all time. Satya-yuga, Dwapar, Treta, Kali-yuga. So the first advantage of reading all this, discussing all this, is humility gets done. What's the second? The lakshya, the goal, gets stabilized, isn't it? Same Scottish Church College, many people studied. If you go to Wikipedia, see the list of alumni of Scottish Church College, it's mind-boggling. Shishir Bhaduri, the founder of the Bengali theatre, was a Scottish Church College alumni, but he became a theaterist, isn't it? Subhash Chandra Bose was a Scottish Church College alumni. His aim was different, and all different aims have the different roles in the society. He founded INA. Paramahamsa Yogananda, autobiography of a yogi. He became exponent of Kriya Yoga. Swami Vivekananda became exponent of many things, primary Karma Yoga. But Prabhupada had kept this as the center, which Narad Muni describes in his Bhakti Sutras. Tad Vismarane Parama Vyakulata. Symptoms of Bhakti. Yatha Gopikanam. How the Bhakti is being done by gopis. And which Rupa Goswami says, Anya Bhilashita Shunyam. Prabhupada had this as his goal. So he became the exponent for what? Bhakti Yoga. We are in the society, we may have to handle many things at societal level, community level, national level, international level, global level, and nowadays maybe cosmic level when other planets are being planned to be inhabited. But then what's the nucleus? By reading all this, it sets the compass, isn't it? So that's the second advantage. First is dawn of humility. Second is the lakshya, North Star. And final, the advantage is lolyam. After discussing, reading, somewhere in this, let's hope in this lifetime, that lolyam develops that this is a very better lifestyle. What Uddhava and Vidura are doing, immersed in Krishna Katha, isn't it? So that's the advantage. And that's the reason why Acharyas are taking so much trouble to do an exposition. They are doing all this to establish the culture of remembrance. What? The culture of remembrance. Smaranam. Prabhupada mentions that. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. The three primary limbs. And Srila Prabhupada has stressed it so much, isn't it? Smartavyaha satatam Vishnu. Na vismritavya jatuchit. Jatuchit. Never, you have to do two things. First, remember. Now, if we see in Sanskrit, it is Vishnuhu smartavyam, which means Vishnu is fit to be remembered. What does that mean? Oh, it's an imperative. He must be remembered. And Prabhupada used to say, remember, active verb. remember, it's an activity, do. It won't be dawned. Krishna also says this. Where in Bhagavad Gita? Mam anusmara yudhyacha. And जैसे हिंदी में we say, भागवत ने तो हद ही कर दी. Bhagavatam just went to the height. The Sanskritists are known to not repeat because ardhva matra laghavena putrotsavam jayate. If you reduce half a matra in your composition, you enjoy like you got a baby. So why would they repeat verses? They shouldn't, right? But 4 places at least, or rather 5 places in Bhagavatam, they have either repeated the verse, or repeated half the verse, or repeated almost pura ka pura, fully, so that the idea remains the same, and this is highly shocking. Many of you would be knowing that. Naishkarmyam apyachyuta bhava varjitam, right? That if you aspire for impersonalist liberation, but it doesn't have achyuta bhav, useless. That's repeated in 1st canto and 12th canto. Exactly the same verse. Then this idea which we now so much discuss in our community, work according to your nature, right? Swe swe adhikare ya nishtha swaguna parikirtitaha. That do work according to your adhikar. And that's repeated, it was very surprising, in 2 cantos, 11th canto and 11th canto. Krishna is saying, and maybe I think the Navayogendras are also telling. What else is repeated? We also say this too much in our courses, isn't it? Especially when demigod worship comes. Watering the root of the tree. Yatha taroro moola nishechanena. Similar verses there in 4th and 8th canto. But regarding our discussion, which shows that they are repeating, hence it is so important, Krishna repeats, and I think Prahlad Maharaj is being told by Narad Muni also. The logic of Bhringi and Kita, wasp and the insect. The wasp captures the insect, puts it in the hole in the wall. And the insect is thinking again and again in the wall, Bhaya Sambhrambha Yogena. By Bhay and Sambhram is like a very anxious way. So Thakurji, Krishna in 11th canto, sorry, Narad Muni, I think in 7th canto, he says that after he leaves the body, he becomes a wasp. Our Krishna is special. In 11th canto, he tells Uddhava, Purva Rupa Asantyajan. Without even leaving, insect becomes a wasp. How? Without even leaving the body, insect becomes a wasp. Krishna is indicating, oh, death is just a matter of some click. If the mind is full with something, even without leaving the body, that insect is as good as wasp. So Bhagavatam repeats it. And our entry book, NOI, also says this, right? What is the iti upadesha saram, akhila upadesha saram, that you remember Krishna. But it's interestingly, remember, which means it is a practice. Sometimes it is tough. We may think that let's do only hearing and chanting, and remembrance is a bonus which will come whenever and wherever. But no. In this verse only, Nectar of Instruction, 8th verse, Rasana Manasi Niyojya, Prabhupada explains that beginning is Shravana Avastha. We keep hearing. Then comes Varana Avastha, which means I have accepted that this is my life. Then comes Smarana Avastha, remembering. Even in remembering, he is quoting Jiva Goswami and telling all the different stages of recollection, remembrance, meditation, constant remembrance, and samadhi. Those last 4 stages are too far, maybe, from us. The first stage is quite practical. Recollection, isn't it? Which is the beginning stage of remembrance. And it is an active verb. I can recollect. Don't we recollect things? Not even in devotional culture, in outside culture also, recollection is so important. In the area of drama, There is something called method acting. So if you go to the dramas area where somebody is doing method acting or the culture of method acting is there, you might see a person walking or crawling using a wheelchair. And all the time he's on wheelchair, eating using wheelchair, using restroom wheelchair. And you might ask, what's going on? He is doing method acting because his role is to play an invalid. Then you might find a person who is just acting as dumb for the entire tenure of the acting. He is doing method acting. Then you might find somebody acting and you touch the tears and find these look like to be real tears. What happened? You didn't use chloroform. So you might get a response that I was recollecting the worst trauma in my life so that when I have to act out this trauma, at least the tears are real. This is method acting. In recollection of the memory, from centuries, people are using technique called memory palace, a palace of memories, to remember pages of books, chapters of books, whole name of the residents of city. What is this memory palace? Let's take the example of Radha Gopinath temple. You enter from the gate, and Prabhu has installed this big bazooka machine. Then you go straight, and you have the book stall, and then you go, you have Vrindavan forest. You turn, come up, Brahmachari ashram, Gaur-Nitai hall, then come take darshan, exit from the Srinathji hall, go down, exit. So there is a Radha Gopinath temple, and you fixed a route to come and go. Now what we do, to every point in that route, we attach a memory. A memory of a place, a memory of a person. And then the password is just Radha Gopinath temple. And the entire memory palace will be in front of us. In fact, devotees have also used it for time immemorial. They have converted their kutir or the room to be Braja Chaurasi course. That corner is Radha Kund. This corner is Imli Tala. That corner is Banke Bihari. That is ISKCON. So no sooner they enter the room, what do they think about? Recollecting the Braja Chaurasi course. So recollection is quite doable, but it seems hard, isn't it? Because life seems like to be a revolving door. On one side of the door is the world in which we have to do things, and the other side of the door is the recollection. And I can say for myself, sometimes the door gets jarred. It's only outside. But there is one facility which can help recollection become sweeter and simpler, and that is satsang. Because what do we do in satsanga? Somebody will say something that will open some association in the memory. It will bring one verse, one pastime, and then a stream of recollections, isn't it? So satsang is super powerful. One saint mentioned that Naam or holy name is like a sabun, cake of soap. But satsang is like a mirror or darpan. Both are required for cleaning. The soap also and the mirror also. Did you clean or not? Because somewhere or the other, pride may trickle in. However, in the satsang, due to the recollection of Krishna's pastimes and anecdotes concerned with the Krishna, perhaps where the work needs to be done, that work will also come in the forefront. You are lacking here and here and here, isn't it? So through this verse, what is pitched is a culture of remembrance. Who is remembering? Uddhava. But it takes one to know one. Who is able to identify? Vidura. And it is mentioned in this word. Tena lakshitaha purnarthaha. Tena vidurena. By Vidura or Vidura identified him. He has perfected. In fact, when we hear these words, one historical anecdote just comes flashing in our memory of recollection, close to our home, close to our heart. Maybe only 46 years ago, in a place which is 120 kilometers north of Kolkata. That's Mayapur. The year is 1979, just before Gaur Purnima. This personality had 4 months of symptoms, not one day. 1 month before coming to Mayapur, 2 months in Mayapur, 1 month in Bhubaneswar after Mayapur. The specific room where it happened, that was Lagudi Das Brahmachari Prabhu's room, is still there. Now they say it is a cashier's room. And the personality we are talking about is His Holiness Gaur Govinda Swami Maharaj. They went to a nearby Sri Chaitanya Mutt, some celebrations, because some great Vaishnava personality had left the body. Kirtan happened and Maharaj went into ecstasy. They took Maharaj and handed him to his servant, saying that you take care. Nobody could generally understand. Some doctors came and they said it's a fever. Other people came and they said, chant this Gayatri mantra and then break your Brahmana thread and this will remove the ghosts which are occupying Maharaj. Quite weird and interesting. But the servant thought, only Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Now the craziest, or not craziest, the strangest thing is that while Maharaj is on the other side of the revolving door, he is on this side of the revolving door also. Some managers came to him asking questions about some management issues and Maharaj just said, don't disturb me, I am serving Krishna. Then he is asking his servant, call that devotee, I have offended him, let me ask forgiveness. Now it's not needed, right? He is in touch with Krishna. Ashtasattvik vikaras are happening. The servant said, I saw all 8 symptoms and the most uncommon of the symptoms, which is called Vaivarnyam, changing of the color, which is white to pink to brown, all sorts of colors. He observed it. So he doesn't need to ask forgiveness, right? But see the culture of pure devotion. And which brings this verse of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, that Sarvot Karshan Vitepi Syat. All Utkarsha is present, Asadharan is there, yet the person thinks, Adhama Buddhi, I am low. Amazing culture, right? Compare that culture with the culture outside where offense is taken at the drop of a hat. And here, forgiveness is accepted and doled out, distributed freely. Prabhupada also did at his last stages, isn't it? Finally, Maharaj came into consciousness. Oh, before that, who identified it? Some sannyasis, indeed. They called Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj. So Babaji Maharaj did exactly what 500 years ago Sarvabhauma did for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He took his dhoti, maybe it was cotton dhoti, he took the cotton dhoti, put it under the nose. There was breathing. So he started jumping, bhav, 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 bhav. He is not sick. Even doctors said he is not sick. Just let him be, don't disturb him. Finally, when he came to consciousness, he said, what is this? His servant said, this is hand. Acha, this is hand. What is this? This is a leg. Acha. What is this? This is your skin. As he was coming into external consciousness, he was becoming more miserable. Where did I land into? And Gaur Govind Maharaj said, what I received is through Srila Prabhupada books. Reading them and translating them. That was his seva. When we hear these pastimes, especially in this December month of marathon, where we have a marathon, gargantuan, if that's the understatement for the goal, such pastimes give us great solidarity. Vaisheshika Prabhu would treat us, just go and hit the pavement and then magic will happen. And that day we saw that magic. Harinam was being done And then one lady was walking. Some of the Prabhu intercepted that lady. She was not interested. That Prabhu also walked away. We were doing Harinam. Then this lady spotted, I think it was a stray dog. She was going behind the stray dog, and it was very clear that dog was not hers. I don't know what she got attracted to. Then the dog crossed the crossing. She remained standing on one end of the crossing, watching the dog, what he is doing. Maybe she forgot. That Prabhu who had given the book also forgot. But somebody had not forgotten, because that somebody is Krishna, he arranged it. That Prabhu once again came to this lady, and she took the book. She paid Lakshmi, and in a very dazed state, she walked by. But the work was done, right? The book was there. And hopefully, in this lifetime or the next lifetime, something will happen. What will happen? Pulokodbhinna sarvango, sneha prasara samplutha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sorry, I went 2 minutes over time. Please forgive me. If there are any questions, comments, reflections, suggestions, corrections, I'll be honored and grateful. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.